Welcome to my review of the Corsair Carbide 275R case. Firstly, the case has a nice glass cover which you can see there. The glass is good to look inside to see what's installed. The minimalist design is, as it says, very minimal. Nothing on the front like traditional computer cases that you used to have. The back of the PC case is very standard, with the only addition of the PSU mount being at the bottom. But we can see here the connections on the motherboard. We can see the PCI covers here, and one thing to note is that the PCI covers have little holes in them, which helps for the air to get out of the computer. The glass cover can be removed quite easily if you need to get inside of the case to manage the components. The top of the case has two USB 3 connections. It has a speaker, it has a headphone and microphone 3.5mm jack. It has a power button and has a magnetic removable dust cover which is easily removed, as you can see, which then exposes the mounting points and holes in the top of the case for airflow and mounting fans. As you can see here, I have mounted an additional fan, but this is the stock fan which comes with the case. Instead, I've installed some additional fans where the stock fan should be. Looking at the side of the case, it's pretty bog standard. The only thing to note, at the front here there's a gap, and that gap allows the airflow to come to the front of the case to be sucked all the way through and to exit at the back of the case. Removing the front panel is pretty straightforward. Just give it a tug in all four corners. The bottom corners are easier to remove than the top corners, but just give it a tug and it will remove quite easily. As you can see, this exposes another dust cover for the front of the computer case. This dust cover covers up the two fans which I have installed here, and again is easily removable just by grabbing it at the handle and taking it out. As mentioned before, here are the two fans which I have installed in place of the stock fans which came with the case. The glass cover is easily removable, as mentioned, just by unscrewing the 4 screws in the corners. We can see the stock fans inside of the CPU. I've mounted one on the top and the default one is on the rear of the case. These run at about 2,400 RPM and are very quiet. These are the thermal take fans which are about 5 years old, which I've got installed. They run at about 5,600 I think. You can see here we have got various holes, and we've got 3 large holes that go through to the other side of the PC case with grommets that protect the cables. Another route which the cables take to the side of the case for cable management. The side of the case has all this chaos going to it. This is where we route all the cables, and you can see the cables coming out of the grommets there. This hides it from view. You've got things in the back here which have a hard disk mount, which you can see is easy to mount these hard disks. You can see some holes there for another one. The cables are a little bit of a mess there, but you can see how they come to the side of the case and they're hidden away from plain sight. Next to the PSU, you do have 3 lots of 3.5-inch drive bays if you want to install any legacy drives in there, and you can see here the mounting of the power supply which we have at the bottom of the case, and all of the power cables which come from it. Well, I need to tidy that up because it's all crooked, so I'll do that later. And you can see the rear of the CPU mount there on the motherboard. Various holes that you find around the case make it very useful to route cables through and hide these cables from plain sight. So that is the functionality of the case there. Discussed more or less everything. The case cooling is pretty good. I would say getting additional fans if you're going to put in maybe SLI configurations would be better for you. But let's have a look at the temperature of the case inside now. So let's power the system up. So power it up, and this is the core temperature of the CPU, and we can see each core here. It's not warm, it's not freezing, but it's 21 degrees in the room, and we do get some decent temperatures there. The GPU, you can see that the temperature there. To note, I've actually overclocked the memory and the core clock on the GPU as well, but despite that, it's still providing good cooling. So after we put a little bit of load onto the computer, let's have a look at the performance of the fans inside of the system. So this is after load. We can see that the temperature has gone up slightly. The max has hit a maximum of 62, but still the temperature's coming down. Both the tall CPU cooler, which is a Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4, and the additional fans do actually provide a nice airflow in the system to provide cooling to the computer. I think that's just one thing I would advise if you're looking at like really overclocking things. Make sure you get either water cooling or additional fans inside of the case. This is the GPU again after load, maximum 68. It's coming down quite nicely. So yeah, we can overclock both the CPU and we can overclock the GPU, and you won't have much issue with this configuration. So those are all the advantages, things I've discussed before. Really good. The disadvantages, I think, is the case is too small. You might need it to be a bit wider if you're going to have loads of cables. You need more fans if you're going to overclock. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this has helped you, and have a great day.